Hey y'all, I'm not here today. My daughter needed me today, so I just am going to record the lesson for you. So we're going to start with our sight word review. Say the word, clap it. B-E-L-I-E-V-E. Say the word. Say the word. Snap it. R-E-A-L. Say the word. Say the word. Stomp it. F-R-E-E. Say the word. Say the word. Snap it. F-E-W. Say the word. Say the word. Clap it. W-I-T-H-I-N. Say the word. Say the word. Stomp it. P-R-O-B-A-B-L-Y. Say the word. Say the word. Snap it. I-D-E-A. Say the word. Say the word. Clap it. M-A-I-N. Say the word. Say the word. Stomp it. F-O-L-L-O-W. Say the word. Say the word. Clap it. B-R-O-U-G-H-T. Say the word. Good. All right, moving right along. If you'll pause the video and if you will go and get your iReady book and turn to page 401. All right, now that you have your iReady book, yesterday we started talking about pronouns. We started talking about how personal pronouns can take the place of nouns. We talked about plural and singular pronouns. Singular pronouns like I, he, she, and we even have plural pronouns. They, them, we, okay? Talks about more than one. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at these 5 sentences on page 401, and they have a word, a noun that is underlined, or nouns that are underlined. And you're going to decide which pronoun could take its place. Okay? Pause the video, work on it, and come back for the answers. Now that you're back, question 1, the horses are beautiful. That is plural, more than one. So the correct answer would be B, they. Number 2, the stable is my sister's favorite place. Stable is singular. So D, it would be your answer. Number 3, the writing teachers love my sister. Sister is singular. So the correct answer would be D. Number 4, Mr. Chen gives fresh hay to the horses. Horses are plural. Them would be your answer. And the last one, Mr. Chen owns the stable. Okay, Mr. Chen is singular, and it would be he. Okay, go ahead and close your iReady book. And if you would, pause the video and pull up your reading passage for today on Canvas, titled Week 12, Day 1. Now that it's up, go ahead and circle your title, number your paragraphs, get your author's purpose, and preview your questions. Once you do all that, pause the video, read the passage, come back, and get your answers. Now that you've completed everything, the answer for number 1 is B. Number 2 is D. 3 is D. And 4 is C. Please hit submit. And then we're going to start talking about story elements. Pause the video, hit submit, and then come back. Now, we've been talking about story elements since last week, and we've talked about how story elements are like a piece to the puzzle, okay? So if a puzzle is missing a piece, that means that the puzzle is not complete. If a story is missing a piece, the story is not complete. So the things that the story needs to have are character settings, problem, solution, and the key events. Remember, the key events are important events that happen in the beginning, the middle, and the end. Yesterday, we practiced this picking out story elements with the story Lily's Purple Plastic Purse. We were able to list the characters and the settings, we were able to find the problem and the solution, and we were able to tell the key events of the story. Well, today we're going to start a new novel. And the novel that we're going to start is titled The Storm by Cynthia Ryland. We're going to get through the first 2 chapters today. And I want you to understand with a chapter book, each chapter builds upon the next chapter. So the story continues with each chapter, but each chapter can have its own setting and its own characters. And then in further chapters, you might get introduced to more characters and more settings. But each chapter kind of has its own story element going on. Okay, so might be able to pick out problems and solutions that are happening in these chapters. So we're going to talk about that after we read the first 2 chapters. Now, this is titled The Storm. We're going to read it together. Just follow along while I read. First chapter is titled Pandora. This book is about a cat named Pandora and a dog named Seabold. So let's see what happens. In a lonely lighthouse far from city and town, far from the comfort of friends, lived a kind-hearted cat named Pandora. She had been living at this lighthouse all alone for 4 long years, and it was beginning to wear. She found herself sighing long, deep, lonely sighs. She sat on the rocks overlooking the waves far too long. Sometimes her nose got sunburned. And at night, when she tried to read by the lantern light, her mind wandered, and she would think for hours on her childhood when she had friends and company. Why did Pandora accept this lonely lighthouse life? Because a lighthouse had once saved her. When Pandora was but a kitten, she and her father had gone sailing aboard a grand schooner bound for a new country. Pandora's mother had stayed behind with the baby to join them later. And while they were at sea, Pandora and her father were shaken from their beds one night by an awful twisting of the ship's great bow. "Stay here, Pandora," her father had commanded. "Stay here and wait until I come for you." They were in a terrible storm. The wind was howling and the waves crashed hard upon them. Worse, a deep fog had spread itself all over the water, and it is fog that will bring a ship to its end. Fog that will blind a sailor's eye until his ship has hit the jagged shore and tore itself to pieces. Pandora's father knew this, and he strained with the others to keep the ship's sails aloft, and his daughter trembled in her bed. He knew what somber danger they were in. But Pandora's father was a brave cat, and he would not give up hope. He would hold tight to the riggings with the others until help, in whatever form, might come to them. In time, the winds began to settle and the waves grew smaller, but the dense fog refused to lift. The ship's captain was clearly worried, for he knew these waters they sailed in. He knew the long history of ships gone down. And he carried little hope that help might come to them, that someone might lead them away from the deadly shore, for a lighthouse might show them the way, and there had been no working light on these waters for 100 years. So it was with much bewilderment and amazement and overwhelming joy that he heard first the deep, clear sound of a foghorn, then saw before him a light. Yes, a light. And it was not the light of another ship or small boat. Only a very powerful lamp can make itself seen through a fog like this. Only the lamp of a lighthouse. "Pull leeward," cried the captain, "away from the light." And everyone pulled hard on the riggings to make the ship turn away from the dangerous shore. The ship and everyone on it was saved. Even after Pandora dreamed of lighthouses, though she had not seen the beacon that had saved her, her father had, and he spoke of it often. He always wondered who had made the great light shine. As she grew, Pandora herself came to think much on this. She went to the library and gathered books on lighthouses. She drew them in her sketch pad and dreamed of them at night. Then one morning she awoke and she knew what she must do. She must become a lighthouse keeper. She knew that this was her destiny. It did not take Pandora long to find the lighthouse in need of keeping. It is a hard and lonely job, and few want it. Lighthouses are often built in unwelcoming places atop sharp and dangerous rocks. A winter storm can hold a keeper inside for weeks on end, and when she finally emerges, there is no one there to talk to. They are all someplace else, living in little cities or little towns or big cities. They are not interested in desolation. But Pandora was not afraid of this life, for her heart was so good and clear that fear would not creep inside it. The ships in those unpredictable waters carried fathers and mothers and children, and they needed guiding. She knew she could do it. And Pandora had been doing it faithfully for 4 long years. She had seen many awful storms come and go. She had stayed awake long winter nights, tending the great lamp, sounding the deep horn. Pandora did not know how many lives she had saved, but she knew that she had saved some. And now, weary with being left alone for so long, Pandora was about to save one more. Chapter 2, Seabold. There are those who love the sea so deeply they cannot bear to be away from it even for a day. A dog named Seabold was one of these. He was born to a sailor's life. When Seabold was old enough to leave home and family, he built himself a boat, which he named Adventure, said goodbye to his parents and sisters, and off he went in search of the life meant for him. He was a fine sailor. He had a keen understanding of the wind. He could read the stars, and he trusted his instincts. For 5 years, Seabold sailed the world's greatest oceans, and his instincts never failed him. He sailed safe and strong and free of worry. But one day this all changed. Seabold had always known when a storm was coming. His nose told him so. And he had always found a sheltered cove or harbor in which to wait out the rough seas. But this day he had a cold. He had a cold and a stuffy nose, and his sense of smell was very bad. Added to this, he was tired. Seabold took a long nap in his bunk, and he did not notice the seabirds nervously circling in the air above him, agitated and calling to one another about the bad weather ahead. The seabirds all wisely headed for land, but Seabold, adrift in his dreams, stayed out on open water. Then the great storm hit. Seabold was jolted from sleep by a sharp crack of lightning and a deep roar of thunder and an enormous crashing wave. As Adventure was flung here and there, up and down, Seabold clung to the little boat with all his strength, for there was nothing else he could do. The sea, which had always been his friend, had turned against him, and for the first time in his sailor's life, Seabold was afraid. He whispered into the wind, "Safe harbor, let there be safe harbor." Just as Seabold whispered these words, a magnificent light broke through the darkness, and the long distant call of a horn sounded across the water. "Safe harbor," Seabold repeated, and this was the last thing brave Seabold said before he was lifted and rolled over and over into the deep black sea. One might have thought the dog was forever lost, but this is not the end of Seabold's story. Okay, so thinking back to the story, okay, let's think about some of the characters that we were introduced to. Okay, pause it and write down some characters. Now that you're back, you should have written down that we were introduced to Pandora, her father, their crew on their ship, and then in chapter 2, we were even introduced to Seabold, the dog. All right. Now, pause the video and think of some settings that were in the story so far. Now that you're back, you should have been able to put that the ocean or the sea was a setting, the ship, if you put that as a setting, the lighthouse as a setting, any of that is where the story was taking place. All right, so now we got to think about a problem. Think about just chapter 1 when we learned about Pandora. Let's think about a problem in that chapter. Pause the video and write down a problem. Now that you're back, the problem that you should have come up with for the first chapter was that Pandora and her father were in a great storm on the sea. And they had a lot of fog and they couldn't see and they could have been shipwrecked. But there was a solution. Pause the video and think of the solution. Now that you're back, the solution to their problem with the storm was the lighthouse. The light of the lighthouse and the foghorn on the lighthouse helped them not run into the shore and crash their ship. So that solved their problem. Now think about chapter 2 with Seabold. And I want you to think of a problem that came aboard with Seabold. There was a couple of problems there. Okay, pause the video. Now that you're back, one problem was that Seabold had a cold and he couldn't smell, and his nose couldn't tell him that the storm was coming, and he was really tired and he fell asleep. There wasn't really a solution to this problem. All right, the other problem that they had was that he got caught in the storm and he ended up falling into the sea. But by the end of chapter 2, there still was no solution. So maybe tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but Thursday, we'll figure out what was that problem solved. Okay? All right, well, that is it for today, my friends. I will see you again live on Thursday. Remember to complete your work. You have 2 teacher-assigned lessons on iReady today. And you also have your reading log to complete today. So get all your work done for today, so you're not behind. All right, talk to you later. Bye.